Today, we have a very special guest, and the guest is Gabby, who is a past client, but also someone who became a very close friend of mine over the 2+ years that we worked together. And today, we will be diving into some of the transformational, pivotal moments that she had through her journey working with me as a coach and how that's kind of just impacted her life now, long after we've stopped working together. So, Gab, introduce yourself to the listeners, let them know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why health and fitness is so important to you.
Quick pause before we dive into the rest of this video. If you are a woman who's been putting in the work, but you feel stuck in your body, with your performance, in your results, and you feel like you're struggling to balance your career, your personal life, and your fitness goals, this is for you. If you're looking for a smarter and more sustainable approach to losing fat, building muscle, and actually feeling your best, one that works with your hormones, your metabolism, and your lifestyle, then click the link below and book a free call. I'd love to help you build your best body and optimize your health without the burnout. Now let's get into it.
Hi, everyone. Like Sam mentioned, I'm Gabriella. I live in Toronto and I work in cannabis sales. And I have a pretty busy lifestyle, like between work and family and friends and fitness. So before I can actually get into like why health and fitness is important to me, I need to paint a bit of a picture. So growing up, I wasn't physically active at all. I didn't know a thing about nutrition or health and was truly just living for the thrill of it. And I think what happened was as I was growing up, I was seeing so many of my family members either getting sick or like struggling to keep up like with my cousins. And I would see them also taking like a lot of different medications for like their illnesses or their pain. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That is not the life that I'm going to be living. I just truly wanted to be able to like run or like climb or like jump and just be able to enjoy life to the fullest. So I wanted to just be able to like, live a life where I could take on any challenge at any time. And so I went into college, and at that point, the only exercise that I had ever done was either like walking to my bus or like to my classes or either dancing at pub night or at the club. That was the only thing I had ever done. And I was eating everything. Like after pub nights, I would go and get like shawarma. I had like a Tim Hortons ice cap addiction for a little while there. I was drinking like 3 or 4 days a week, and I wasn't taking care of myself at all, like physically, mentally, spiritually, none of it. And I got to a point where I was like pretty overweight. I just really didn't like the way that I looked. All of my clothes weren't fitting properly. I remember like trying on different clothes, going to different events and just having like complete meltdowns because I just wasn't happy. And I realized at that point, I was like, I'm so fed up with myself. I just want to like feel and like look hot. But at that point, I thought what hot was like the skinny, like tiny waist and big booty. So like I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I was taught my entire life, which was to do dieting and to do cardio. So dieting was truly just eating vegetables and fruit, and doing cardio, like running on the treadmill or like doing jumping jacks. And so I had bought a program. It was like a video DVD from back in the day. And it needed like light weights and a mat. So I got all that, and I was meal prepping, but not actually like weighing or tracking anything, just truly just like cooking meals and putting all of that into like containers. And then I had gotten to a point where I had lost weight, but I didn't look how I wanted to look. I feel like I was like smaller, but I didn't
Like
have that
skinny fat
yeah,
kind of look.
literally the textbook definition of skinny fat. And I didn't even
Yeah.
learn what that was until you told me. And I just like didn't have the big booty that I wanted. So I think what kind of sparked everything was just seeing all the people around me just being sick and like not taking care of themselves. And I've always been such a go-getter, but not really knowing how to like actually channel my energy. And I think that's what sparked for me was like, I'm not living that life that I'm seeing other people around me live. So like, let me figure out how I'm going to make this happen. And I had started the process like by myself and had been like really self-driven to try to figure it out. But again, got to a point where I was like, oh, I thought I knew what I was doing. I lost the weight, but I actually have like, this is not how I want to look.
Yeah. And I think that that happens for a lot of people, right? Like a lot of clients that I work with, they just are so focused on this number on the scale that when I get to X number, I'll be happy. I'll have this dream body, right? But they don't really understand that the number on the scale isn't indicative of a specific body type. It's just a smaller shape of the shape that you already are, right? If you want to have this kind of curvy physique, or you want to be toned, or you want to look strong, you need to build the muscle mass underneath first for it to shine through. And I think a lot of women don't really realize that. And that's how they get into this whirlwind of dieting and cardio, just to realize like, well, now I just look like a stick figure of the same shape.
Exactly, exactly. I was a person that was like, I want to get toned. You're like, do you know what toned actually means? And I was like, oh, I have no idea.
Literally. Yeah. And I remember when we first started working together, it was obviously during the very beginning of the
Yes.
pandemic. And it was one of the 4-week pandemic challenges I had done in the very beginning. And I remember that you were very focused on cardio and high intensity and really thinking that that was the answer to the problem that you were trying to solve. So I guess I just kind of want to know at that point in time, what was the main thing that flipped that switch for you to inspire you to join that 4-week challenge? And what were you hoping to get out of that at that point in time?
Yeah, so I was actually chatting with a friend about wanting to switch up my workout routine because, again, at that point, I was not looking the way that I thought I was going to look, and I wasn't feeling, like in a place where I was like good with where I was. And so she told me about this girl that she knew that was a coach, and she showed me your Instagram. So I started following you, and I was like, this girl's a badass, and she grew up in the same hometown like that I did. And I saw that you had this 4-week challenge, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I feel like I just need a bit of a change, and this makes it easy for me because I don't have to do anything. She's just gonna give me everything that I need. And so I think that 4-week challenge was really just like the kickstart to me taking my fitness to another level and having it to like a different mentality around what my fitness was going to look like after that. Because again, up until that point, I had just done it alone and I was just trying to figure it out on my own. And I even remember like scouring the internet, looking at so many different like articles online about like what to eat, what not to eat, different workouts, like how it can affect your body. And it was a lot of information to take in, especially because I didn't even know how to sort through any of it. And so I signed up and I did the 4 weeks and I felt amazing. And so I think what really drew me to you was just that you just had so much knowledge about things that I wish that I knew and that I wanted to know. And you just made me feel so supported. And your vibe was just immaculate. And also the aesthetic of your programs were just beautiful. And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing.
Those were the Canva PDF
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely a creative at heart, but yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there that so many people when they're getting started, the overwhelm, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? What's the right fit for me? You have, like you said, all these articles, you have these influencers that are saying one thing, you have other influencers that are saying another thing, you have your friends doing one thing, right? So it's so hard to know like what is the right fit for me. And I think that that's one thing in today's society is that because fitness is relatively accessible, like the information is all out there, people think that it's something that they can just, like you said, throw together by themselves. But it's one of those things where you're like just consistently throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks until you actually get some customized support. It's like you don't go online and try to teach yourself how to cut your own hair. Like, why are you going to try to teach yourself what works best for your body, right? When it comes to fitness. So I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. That's something that a lot of people struggle with too. But I think like one thing that really shifted for you was kind of your perception on what was the right path in the beginning. I know you were really focused on the cardio, the hit, like you were like, what, you want me to do less cardio? Like what, you want me to eat more food? Like, I don't understand. And I had seen a ton of potential in you. I remember we hopped on a call to kind of discuss your future goals, what you wanted to accomplish long term. And that's when that 4-week challenge kind of blossomed into more of a one-on-one longer term experience, right? And I think that's when we were able to start to build that relationship together where you started to trust the process and trust me a little bit and take you through some of these things that you got a little bit uncomfortable with. And we were able to transform your body and your mind, both health-wise and results-wise. But what were some of the biggest shifts for you in that experience from where you initially started to like after we started working together one-on-one?
Yeah. Speaking about perception, I remember you had a post one time and it was about like spending money on a coach. Some people's perception is that it's just like too expensive. But then every week we'll go out and spend $100 on drinks for one night, $50 a
Girls'
week on
night.
Starbucks. Exactly. And you could just use that money to invest into yourself and your health and fitness. And when I saw that, I think that's when something again just like clicked for me. And I was like, you know what? She's completely right. I need to make this investment in myself because I'm so serious about my health and wanting to be healthy and like longevity that I feel like this is like the right path for me. So I, again, had lost a little bit of weight and I was feeling a little bit more confident in myself, but I had no idea what I needed to do to get that big juicy booty that I was chasing after. And so I came in wanting to just like look hot and have this big butt and maybe lose a little bit of fat. And what I feel like I left with was so much knowledge, like better habits, an awareness of who I am, what I needed to do to achieve my goals, and honestly, just like way more in tune with my actions and thoughts. So when we had started, it was again through the pandemic, and the gym was absolutely out of the question. But luckily, I had like dumbbells and I had a barbell and plates at
Girl,
home.
I remember you like overhead pressing your barbell in your bedroom so you
Yes,
could get your squats
yes,
in.
yes, that's exactly it. And I remember you had started making me workouts, and I was like so comfortable with my 20-pound dumbbells. I was like, she wants me to use a barbell. I had
I was like,
never.
no, 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 we're done with those. We're done with those. You've graduated.
Yeah, you're like, nah, we're going heavier. And I was like, okay, you're gonna have to show me what to do because I have never touched one of these before. And I remember you had made me a video. You're like, this is how you put it together. This is how you lock it. And so I was like, okay, cool. In my bedroom, I had everything set up, and I was exactly what happened. I was that you put in my program a barbell squat. And I had gotten a little bit stronger over the last, a couple months in, and you're like, you're going to do it. I remember hoisting that barbell right over my head and onto my shoulders. Okay, mind you, it must have been like 60 pounds at most, but hoisting it over my head and on my shoulders and squatting. And I remember texting you right after, freaking out, being like, I did it. I was so excited. And then what happened was the gym opens up for that little while during the pandemic. And I was like, okay, perfect. Let's get myself a membership now that I'm feeling much more confident. And again, had never touched a squat rack, had never touched a leg press, had never touched any of those things before. So you had walked me through that entire process again. You made me send you like videos and photos to make sure I was doing it right. And I remember doing it and being like, I'm a badass. Like I can literally do anything now. And so I think what really happened for me at that point was that I was just had so much confidence in myself that I could literally do anything and succeed, that I had stopped chasing that look hot with a fat booty goal and was just way more driven towards my new goal of just wanting to be strong AF and lift heavy weights. All I wanted to do was lift heavy things. And that's when
I
I
know. I
think
remember you being like, so when can we go for some PRs?
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, all right, let's do it.
Do it, right? And that's when I fell in love with it. I think I just like really fell in love with training and just the process of everything. And I was just getting jacked, but like not jacked in the way that some women might think that lifting heavy weights might do. Like I wish it was that simple. But
Right.
but I was getting like sexy and like thick. And I was like, I actually love the way my body's responding to this right now. And I thought that like all I needed to do was dumbbell cardio video workouts and eat lots of salads and fruit to get fit. And now I just felt like at that point, I was so much more aware and mindful of my movement outside of working out and like recovery and stretching and mobility. And like most importantly, like sleep and stress management, right? And it was those regular reminders that you would give me all throughout our coaching together that just made sure that I was doing all the right habits consistently and just kept me accountable. And I think just really also the education around why it was important was what really made it stick for me. So the one-on-one coaching truly just changed everything from me wanting to like look a certain way to me wanting to feel a certain way and to have a certain lifestyle that would help support that too. So
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's one thing that, you kind of emulated there is that you had this idea that your confidence was going to stem from how you looked, right? Like, oh, I want these big round glutes and this tiny waist. And once I achieve that, I'm going to just magically feel confident from the inside out. Whereas you actually got more confident without necessarily, I mean, obviously you made some serious glute gains, but, it wasn't that you just only achieved physical results. It was that you started showing up for yourself. You started seeing what you were capable once you pushed yourself outside your comfort zone. And that allowed you to now feel more confident in your ability to, one, do the things that you say that you're going to do without knowing that you're not going to bail on yourself. Two, like, push yourself further than your mind ever thought, right? Most of the time, like, our mind is our biggest limitation. Our mind gives up way faster than our body does. So once you could see what you could actually do, once you had some support there, someone in your corner to be like, no, you can do this, go try, it completely changed the game.
Exactly.
Love it. So would you say that that is one of the main things that changed for you is your confidence level through that
100%,
process?
100%. Like truly, I think like for me, it was like from going from like, maybe I can do it to being like, I 100% got this. And I feel like that really just did bleed into the rest of my life too, where was going through a lot of transition when we were working together too. I was going through like a big move. I was going
You moved in with your boyfriend?
Yeah. And I was going through like a career transition as well. And I think it really just like, I know it's super corny, but honestly, I really do believe like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when I was able to like build the confidence and build these habits and know that I was able to succeed, just like with a bit of like planning and execution, I just knew that everything else that I wanted to do in my life, I was just going to be able to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So how you were showing up for yourself in your personal life and filling up your own cup then allowed you to pour into all those other areas more confidently with more consistency, just like you were doing for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so important to highlight, right? Like a lot of people think that it's just nutrition, it's just workouts, it's just a physical appearance, but it's like, no, it's literally your entire lifestyle. It's how you feel every single day, the things that you do for yourself every single day.
Exactly. And I feel like also what taught me was like, I feel like I have way better balance in my life now. And that was something that we had spoken about week over week, was balancing like all aspects of my life. Because before I was so career driven and like fitness driven, and I would find myself so burnt out and so stressed out all the time. But with like the coaching and the weekly check-ins, I feel like you just taught me like with balance and like planning, you could literally just have it all. And so I think something else that really stuck with me and that I learned throughout this entire process was that, and I remember you doing like different like sessions on it, and it was how I approached social dinners and events. And I think I was coming from like a place of lack before, where I thought I had to take advantage of the situation and eat as much as I can, as just because I didn't want to miss out. And I remember you teaching me, you're like, you can have those fun treats, but you can have them anytime throughout the year. You don't have to have them just at the holiday. And you don't need to overindulge in those situations. But if you have a bit of planning and you have a little bit of awareness, you can still enjoy yourself. And so I think what's happened now is that every time I go out with like friends for dinner or go to like a family, holiday event, I feel way less stress about like, okay, what am I going to eat? Am I going to be okay when I go? I just feel like it's just more natural for me now. I can just go in it with ease because I already know how to do it. So I already know what my plan is going to be going into that situation. And I have an awareness around pretty much like everything that I do now.
Yeah. And would you say that part of that ease comes from that you just live your life Monday to Friday or whenever it is more in balance as a whole, and you're more committed to yourself so that you don't feel like you just didn't commit to yourself all week and now on the weekend you have to go crazy. It's the week you're in your routine, you're doing what you need to do. And then on the weekend you feel less stress.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's like having that balance all throughout the week. And I know you talk about it a lot, like the 80-20 rule. It truly is that. It's like you can make space for the things that you want to indulge in as long as you have your plan and you know what you need to do and you commit to it. And adherence to the plan is so important. You can feel good going into the weekend, knowing that you can still enjoy yourself and not have to stress or have anxiety about it.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, 1 second. I need to let Tiffany out because she won't stop crying. With that all being said, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges in the time of us working together that you were able to overcome?
When it comes to challenges, I think there was so many different ones. I think again, like it goes back to confidence. Like one of the ones I can first think of is just like the confidence in knowing that I am stronger than I think that I am. And that's really in anything. I'm not just talking about like lifting weights. I think it's like knowing that I am strong enough and have like the drive and the willpower to be able to adhere to what I said I was going to do. And it was, again, just like those like little milestones all throughout that really built my confidence to be able to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe she's right. Like maybe I am stronger than I think that I am. And when it goes back to like even like hitting PRs, you'd be like, nope, go heavier. You're like, I don't know what you're doing here. You've been doing this for a couple of weeks. Go a little heavier. And I was like, you know what? And then I would do it. And I'm like, just like confidence built like immediately. And then I think some other challenges that I had, and I think this is, again, it's been something I've struggled with my entire life. And I think we as women, you know, all throughout our lives, we're told that we have to diet. Like that's just what we have to do. You want to look a certain way, you have to diet. And I think for me, the food and nutrition part of the coaching was one of my biggest challenges that I think that I had all throughout that entire process, where I was, you know, I would do really well for a certain period of time, and then I would feel like I just like fell off. And it was like it was truly like peaks and valleys. It was not linear at all. It was truly like I had like overcome a certain part of like a bad habit, and then I would fall back into it. And then I would come back and be like, you know what? I know the habits that I need to have to be able to overcome this and get back. And then I would fall off again. So I would just, although it was a big challenge for me, I do think that having those peaks and valleys and going through all of that has really helped me to even change my mindset around nutrition and like what food is and how to treat food. Because before it was like I would indulge and I would always treat myself. Like I'm a big believer in treat yourself all day. But treating yourself doesn't necessarily need to be like a piece of like candy or like a cookie, you know, it can be so many other things. And that's where I think also like the self-care aspect falls into it, where I thought I was doing self-care. I was like, you know what? I did a mask this weekend. Like, I think I'm good to go. And you're like, but
self-care is more than just beauty tasks.
Yeah. You're like,
my girl, get that journal out.
Yeah. You're like, but how's your mindset? And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm a little stressed. You're like, okay, so why don't we try journaling, deep breathing, meditation? And I think going through that and those constant reminders and you giving me these like tips and tricks on what to do, I've been able to overcome that, where now I'm meditating regularly. I write out my thoughts constantly. I'm just, again, very mindful about the ways that I'm feeling. And I try not to block certain things anymore, where I would felt like maybe before I was like blocking, you know, like a bad feeling or any negative thoughts. And then it would
just be staying busy to not have to deal with those emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it would come to a crash and I would just explode. And it would be this like horrible experience, crying. And I feel like because of your support and the regular check-ins and the accountability, that every week I was like, okay, I got to do something this week to make sure that I have something to report back on.
She's going to be asking me.
Yeah. So it was really, honestly, the accountability that you provided to me, it truly helped me to overcome all of those challenges that I was going through week over week, month over month for those entire 2 years.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're working with somebody long term, like I think a lot of the times people think like, oh, I'll work with a personal trainer or a fitness coach for like 3 months and I'll be good. And I think people really underestimate the time that it takes to make habitual change in your life. You can start to do things differently, but, you know, it takes a lot longer than 12 weeks to actually transform your lifestyle and make those things become subconscious and second nature. And that's what I see a lot as a coach is I work with women for 12 weeks and then they're like, yeah, I'm feeling better. So I'm good. And then, you know, 12 months, they come back and they're like, yeah, actually wasn't that good. Right. So I think the fact that, you know, you can speak to how this consistency period of having that accountability long-term, you know, here we are almost a year later and you still are upkeeping all of these things that we built together.
Yeah, exactly.
And what would you say is maybe some of your favorite parts of the experience with your kind of coaching journey, I guess?
Yeah. So some of my favorite parts with working with you was definitely, again, the habit forming and just the accountability. I think I figured out pretty quickly into working with you that I was overcomplicating everything. And I was just trying to do like the most all the time.
You'd be like, well, if I bike ride for 2 kilometers and then walk 5,000 steps, and then I'm like, okay, let's just chill.
Exactly. And that was it. And then the app was amazing because then you would set all of these like habits and that I get to check off every single day. And it really just boiled down to a few simple things that just required consistency. And it was like truly just like simple things like drinking enough water or getting enough steps or getting enough sleep. And having you as a coach just to be able to cheer me on and give support when I needed it, it made it that much easier just to get through all of those like tough times. And also just having someone to celebrate your wins with, because, you know, although I have a really great support system of friends, they're not necessarily into the same things that I am or in the same, you know, season of their life that I am. So it's sometimes hard for me to be able to go and like, you know, celebrate a win with them, maybe if they're having a bad day at work. But having someone like you there to be able to like cheer me on when I like have this really great win, it just made it feel like that much better that I had someone to share that with. And
yeah, like you do a 200-pound deadlift and your friends are like, cool, like
good for you. Yeah. They're like, I can barely hold 5 pounds. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
sorry. So it was just really having you there to be able to like anything. It was like anytime I wasn't feeling good, anytime I was feeling great, it was just having like a best friend to talk to about all the things that I was going through. And also, like, speaking of workouts, your workouts were like just so fun. Although you killed me so many times and you scared the hell out of me so many times. I felt like such a baddie every time I'd go into the gym. I was like a girl with a plan. Yeah. I was good. I knew exactly what I had to do. I knew exactly where I needed to go. I knew everything that I had to do. And I would just walk through the gym just being like a baddie. And it was truly the best feeling.
I know, you used to send me a screenshot just with the eyes emoji. Yeah. And I would be like,
yeah. Oh, I was like, oh, cool. Okay. This is what we're doing.
Like, sorry, what? 10 sets of hip thrusts? What?
I remember we did 10 by 10 squats one time. Good gosh. But honestly, the legs are legging now. So I have no complaints because my legs are bomb. So
yeah. Your muscle gain progress was incredible. I mean, I remember once you coming to me being like, my boyfriend will stop grabbing my butt.
Like a big booty goal accomplished.
Yeah, see, that's what you want from the beginning, and we got it. We just got all of the other things in the package as well.
Exactly. And like,
I love it.
Again, and like all of those habits that got imprinted into my routine, just like you said, like I'm still doing these things today. And like, I'm not saying that I have it down pat or that I'm like super consistent all the time, but whenever I feel like I've like fallen off track or like I need to revamp something or change my like day-to-day routine, I already know exactly what needs to get done. I have the checklist in my head and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. You like, if you're not doing this, start doing this again. And then it's like habit stacking. It's like, okay, one day you're going to start doing this again. The next day you're going to add something on there. And then finally, after a couple of weeks, you're just going to be back in your same rhythm and feeling good again. So I like refuse to let myself give up. I think that's really what it comes down to. And like my favorite part of just like working with you is that you didn't let me give up. Number one. Yeah. I remember feeling you're like, no, that's not happening. So, and then it's like, you know, I know the saying goes, it's like, I didn't come this far just to come this far. And I feel like I had such a hard time asking for help before. Because again, I have such a strong like support system, but knowing that you have someone there to cheer you on will take you so much further than going alone. And like I said before, I love the time that we had together, but straight up, your voice is still in my head. It's still there.
You go to do something, you're like, you're not the first person. Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that, which is funny. But yeah. And I think that the thing with working with a good coach and when you have a longer term experience, like a transformational experience, is that you build your own self accountability and your personal responsibility, like your mental toughness increases because you have that support system and that accountability prolonged. So that way, when you do go do it on your own expectations of yourself have been elevated to what they expected of you. And I know when I worked with a trainer for a long time who was an incredible trainer, like he had the same expectations of me to keep the bar high. So now I hold myself to those expectations. And even now to this day, sometimes I still hear him in my head, right? So it's a revolving door. But I think that the main thing is that, you had lower expectations of yourself in the beginning because you didn't know what you were capable of. You didn't know what you could accomplish. But once you started to see that come to life, you elevated that bar for yourself. So now you're able to continue bringing that into your day-to-day life now.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Now, if you could leave the listeners who feel stuck in maybe a toxic cycle, or they don't know what to do, but they want to make a change, or maybe they're nervous to kind of invest in themselves to take that bigger step, what is one piece of advice or a tip that you might leave them with?
Yeah, honestly, just figure out what's important to you and think about what your life could look like if you do it and you commit to yourself, or if you don't. And if you're stuck in like this cycle of toxicity and you're just like absolutely fed up with yourself, it isn't going to be until you're absolutely fed up that you're going to be able to, take that first step. So it's going to be really hard to take action. But once you decide that you are going to take that first step and, make a change in your life, just know that you don't have to do it alone. Like, you can invest in yourself and, a coach. There could be a workout program, there could be a nutritionist. There could be so many different avenues that you can tap into to be able to just make that first step into the change. And investing in yourself will never be a mistake or be a waste of money ever. So like,
best investment you can make.
Honestly, I regret none of it. And it was 2 years, right? And some people think, 2 years, that's a lot of money. But honestly, I don't even, that money has gone into myself, and it set me up for success. And not just my health and my fitness, again, it's bled into everything else in my life. And it helps you to really weed through all the noise, and you get all of these tools and these resources, and it just makes it way less daunting of a task. So it's like, just take that first step. It's truly that. Just envision yourself where you could be in a year. And if that person looks great to you, then all you really need to do, you don't even need to be motivated. It's like, just take action today and motivation will come. But then it comes like discipline and, and adherence to the programming. But it's like, just take that first step and you won't regret it.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, right? Just taking the first step, because I feel like sometimes people get overwhelmed with, they look at the whole staircase, like what's at the top of the staircase? What do I have to do to get to the top of the staircase? Instead of taking each step by step that will inevitably lead them to the top of the staircase. And even just getting started with doing some research, like you don't even need to commit to anything right away. Just open your mind and do some research on what it might be like to like work with this person or that person, or try this program or that program. Just opening your mind to the possibility and taking that first step of looking into things is already more than you're probably doing right now. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so fun to have you here on Zoom again in front of me. It's been too long. And, I think that there's a lot of things in this podcast that a lot of people can probably relate to. And I think that, a lot of times people need to hear from real people that these are the situations and that these are experiences that people have had, because there's a lot out there that seems almost too good to be true, or you don't know what to believe when you see on social media and stuff like that. And I feel like it's hearing from real people with real experiences that can kind of really influence people into taking that first step and actually maybe taking the journey to the next level for themselves to be able to achieve their own results. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
So I hope that provided some insight and some inspiration with showing you what is possible. But let's be real, if you're serious about achieving this level of transformation, the most powerful next step that you can take is letting me design you a strategy that is customized to your body, your goals, and your lifestyle, and then letting me guide you through it. So if you're ready for real results that last without the burnout, click the link below and let's chat.